What we have done in this report is actually we have looked at three very important pillars of regenerative agriculture. That is maintaining agriculture productivity, restoring biodiversity, particularly soil health, and enhancing carbon capture and storage. And why we think this is important is that these are the three most important goals and targets in the Farm to Fork strategy and biodiversity strategy of the European Union. There are many other similar concepts, and there is quite a bit of overlap among these. You could mention, for example, agroecology, conservation farming, organic farming, carbon farming. However, where we think regenerative agriculture has some advantages is its flexibility, that it's actually not set on a given set of practices. It's less prescriptive. So, for example, to reach the goals, this concept does not exclude modern breeding techniques or fertilizers or pest control, and will in the future embrace new types of technology that will help to support the goals. What you could see is a shift, and particularly represented by the Farm to Fork strategy and the biodiversity strategy, in moving away from only emphasizing quantity of agriculture production to more of quality and looking at the nutritional value of what is produced in agricultural landscape. And I think that is significant and also would have lots of impacts on the way we produce food in the future. So even though CAP has a history of emphasizing volume production, I think there is quite a bit of shift. How fast that will go, it's very difficult to judge, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. I think looking at the Farm to Fork strategy and biodiversity strategy overall, the targets are fine, but I think the Common Agriculture Policy needs to be much closer aligned because this will be a very massive transformation of European agriculture, and we will need both sharp policy and sharp economic instruments to make that happen. If you look at the member states of EU, I think all of them now agree on the overall goals and perhaps also the targets as represented in the Farm to Fork and biodiversity strategies. What they haven't done so far is actually thinking through how to implement them effectively. And a recent report just published showed that many member states come out very, very poorly in their implementation of the Common Agricultural Policy and the Farm to Fork strategy. Well, looking at the bright side, there are some countries that are really taking a step forward. I could mention, for example, Finland and the Czech Republic, that in several of these areas, which are important for biodiversity and carbon storage, for example, have taken quite brave steps forward in protecting grasslands, for example, or leaving space for nature and biodiversity in the agricultural landscape. So there are examples of countries taking good steps, but I think overall we are far behind where we need to be. One important area where the Commission needs to rethink the current support system is that how to find mechanisms to support multiple farmers in a landscape perspective to address the issues of not only agricultural production, but also restoration of biodiversity and maintaining soil health and increase the storage of carbon in the landscape. Our report really shows how critical it is to take a landscape perspective in order to reach these goals. And we don't have much time. We have maybe a decade where we need to take all these steps. We know when it comes to the Paris Accord, we need to step up incredibly to increase the storage of carbon in all types of landscapes, and in particularly agricultural landscapes. And also at the same time enhance biodiversity and at the same time provide European citizens with nutritious and sufficient food. So this is a challenge, and we need to step up. I mean, farmers is a very large heterogeneous group, but there is a large part of them, the smallholder farmers or farmers that have smaller land areas that are really interested in maintaining the productivity, biodiversity, and also to contribute to society. Where I think we have a challenge is with a large-scale industrial farming, where we need to find mechanisms how to they also could align with these very ambitious goals set out in the Farm to Fork and biodiversity strategies.